Hello, and welcome to All Things Cryptid. I am your host, Amanda Winter, and today we're going to be talking about haunted hotels. Your stories. Last week's episode, I had told you one of my haunted hotel stories that I thought was just a little bit wild, and so that got me thinking about maybe doing a whole episode on your stories of haunted hotels. First, before we start talking about haunted hotels, I just wanted to see how your Halloween went. My Halloween was fantastic. Halloween also happens to be my birthday, which makes me being a weirdo make all the sense in the world, right? So I celebrated my birthday yesterday and it was fun. I just enjoyed friends, family, and loved ones wishing me happy birthday. That meant so much to me. Also, handed out some candy. Only had 2 trick-or-treaters. They came and I was like, here, take all the candy. I don't need the candy anymore. I'm going on a diet tomorrow, which is today. So take all this candy because I don't need it. But then this morning I got up and I thought, hey, you know what? The candy is 50% off. Yeah. Anyway, so started that diet off with a Butterfinger, but it's okay. We're not going to talk about it. So, let's jump in, shall we? So as we delve deeper into the mysterious world of haunted hotels, it's clear that these places are more than just places to sleep. They're vessels of stories, secrets, and supernatural encounters. The experiences shared by workers and guests alike paint a vivid picture of the eerie phenomena that continue to puzzle and intrigue. So up next, we'll hear some of the most compelling accounts that shed light on what truly lurks behind these haunted walls. I'm a front desk agent. I work the 3 to 11 p.m. shift. I made a joke to my kids about how the hallway looks like the one from the movie The Shining. So I snapped a picture of the long, empty hallway and sent it to my kids and a couple of others. Right away, I get a response of, "What is that?" with a spot circled down the hallway on the pic I had just sent. I zoomed in, and I kid you not, clear as day, there was a transparent-like figure, looking like a little girl in a nightgown, walking into the laundry room. I went back and looked at the original pic I took, and I zoomed in. Sure enough, there it is. So I stood in the same spot and snapped another pic. Zoomed in, nothing. I have both pics for comparison. There is definitely something there in the first. We also had a repeat customer that came in at least twice a month, a gentleman in his late 60s. One time when I went to check him in, like the usual, he stops me to say, "Don't put me in 208 this time. I don't like that thing that sits on the edge of my bed at night." What? Excuse me? This one was sent in to Reddit by Ninja Collector. I've worked at a hotel a couple years. We had a lady staying for a week. She was very nice and sweet. She would always run errands and send letters and packages. The day she was supposed to check out, housekeeping found her on the floor, stiff as a board, with a whole bottle of vodka gone and pills all over the floor and a suicide note. The coroner came and picked her up and her stuff, and we all went on with our lives. Half a year later, a man checked into the room she passed away in. He came down in the morning during one of the shifts and quietly asked me if something had happened in that room. I asked him why he was asking. He let me know that during the middle of the night, he felt a presence sitting on the edge of the bed that resembled an old lady's shadow or silhouette. He said he is sensitive to that kind of thing and it didn't bother him at all, and we had nothing to really worry about. I told him what had happened a year ago, and he said it made sense. He said part of her still remained, but she was harmless. My husband and I did a haunted hotel tour throughout Colorado. We ended up staying at a bed and breakfast called the Patterson Inn. It was during the height of COVID in the middle of the week, so we were delighted to be the only guest in the hotel. Because of this, the owner told us we could walk around whenever we wanted and not to worry about disturbing other guests. Our investigation was actually kind of boring. Nothing happened. We stayed in the mother's room, which The room's lore said that if you got frisky, she'll turn on the lights to interrupt you. We wanted to be specific, so we leaned into our impulses. We actually went on a little longer than usual to give the madam plenty of time to interrupt. Nothing. Exhausted and kind of disappointed that nothing paranormal had happened all night in an otherwise empty and haunted hotel, we passed out. Out of the blue, I woke up to see a scowling woman staring down at me. Her hand shot out of the darkness and clamped around my neck, which caused me to startle. When I opened my mouth to gasp, she splashed water down my throat. This fright caused me to sit bolt upright while I coughed violently for several minutes, which woke my husband up. He started clapping my back, asking if I was okay. I finally regained my breath, and I felt a lot on edge, but I assured him I was okay. I didn't want to tell him what had happened because I was actually a little freaked out. I finally settled and eventually fell back asleep. Next thing I know, I was awake because my husband started coughing, and I found him sitting up. It was my turn to ask if he was okay. He nodded after a bit, and I could read the look of concern on his face, but he didn't say anything more. When we got up in the morning, I asked him if he had any weird dreams or experiences. He said that right before I started coughing, he felt as if someone had sat near the foot of the bed. Later, he had a quick dream that he was taking a bath and that a woman suddenly appeared and shoved his head under the water. I told him what I experienced, and we were both kind of in shock. I've stayed in several haunted hotels and have had few experiences that could be brushed off, but this was the first time anything felt real and almost harmful. So that's why I would list this as my scary experience. I worked in IT for a guy named Mike, last name redacted, and every year he puts on this huge conference that brings world leaders and billionaires together for a conference called Global Conference. We would rent out pretty much all of Beverly Hilton for a full 7 days. You personally could go to this conference if you'd like, but it costs thousands of dollars to do so. I am interested in hotel staff and hauntings, so I asked every staff member I could about any otherworldly experiences. I heard a couple people talk about Merv Griffin, the game show creator, host, composer. He bought the place in the 80s and loved to hang out there after he retired. After he died, the staff said that they would see him not as a ghostly shape, but as an actual Merv walking down one of the hallways near the kitchens occasionally. Ultimately, though, the cleaning staff was terrified of the 8th floor. It's not a tall hotel, and the 8th floor was a party-type room. It was a medium-sized banquet-type area with a low ceiling. It has a bathroom, a view of Beverly Hills, with rounded red leather couches and a maroon velour-sided wall. There is a curved bar and glass tables with razor blade marks on them from the copious amounts of cocaine that have been chopped up for consumption. The story goes that there was a lady that would go up there and clean the place by herself after the parties were over. One night, she was almost done and finishing up in the bathrooms, cleaning the sinks. She heard a girl behind her, then something brushed against her shoulder. She quickly turned around and no one was there. She turned back to the sink and there was a piece of gum where there had previously been none. She swore there was no gum in the sink prior, as she was cleaning the sink when it happened, so that was her focus. After that, the cleaning staff would not go up there unless they had to at night, and then they would go in doubles. They also started to clean the floor in the mornings again with 2 people. My buddy, coworker, and I had to go up there and check this out. We were getting chills listening to the stories and had to see for ourselves. So at around 9 p.m., we went up there and it was vacant for the night and we pretty much had the run of the hotel. Right before we went up there, we saw one of the cleaning staff and told him we were going to go up, and he got this look like, you're an idiot. We head up, check the whole room out, and take it in like I described above. We go over to the little bathroom where the gum incident happened and we recreated the scene. I stood at the sink, my buddy brushed my shoulder. I turned around. Nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. We didn't feel coldness or freakiness, just plain old us on the top floor. We were a bit disappointed and were saying things like, well, what did we expect? Type conversation. Then we noticed this weird music on the speaker in the elevator, and we hadn't noticed it coming up. It was a girl kind of singing, laughing, very eclectic stuff. When we got off, we saw the cleaning dude from earlier and told him we saw nothing. There was no ghost up there. Then my buddy mentioned the interesting music choice in the elevator. The cleaning guy said, "What music?" And we replied, "The music in the elevator." He then pointed out that there are no speakers in that elevator. Never have been. We shit our pants, went back into the elevator cautiously because we couldn't believe what we were hearing was not coming from a speaker. Being IT experts, we knew how to look for wires and covered speakers and such, and there were none. It was an old elevator that was just wired for that. We noped the fuck out of that elevator and tried to avoid it the rest of the time we were there. So we were hunting ghosts, and I guess we found one. We were on a road trip from Los Angeles to San Francisco and had a long drive ahead of us to Santa Barbara. The coastal views from the Pacific Highway were beautiful. As the sun began to set, we arrived at our destination, and I couldn't imagine a more lovely bed and breakfast than the Simpson House Inn. However, I was not prepared for what would be the creepiest night of my life. I was booked in the Catherine McCormick room, which was richly decorated in burgundy, gold, blues, and green tones. I immediately recognized the Bradbury wallpaper. The bed was draped with crochet and lace linen. Like most Victorian homes in that era, the rooms were not en suite. My bathroom was located in the hall and had period features like a pull chain wooden toilet and stained glass window. We relaxed on the veranda and soaked in the expensive green lawns with carefully manicured landscaping. Gail, the innkeeper, served wine and hors d'oeuvres and explained the history of the house. We turned in for the night around 10 p.m., but I had trouble sleeping. I woke intermittently throughout the night and wondered about the time. It felt as if hours had passed. Exhausted and in a drowsy state of consciousness, I saw a very thin woman walk into my room. She looked so petite and frail. Her presence felt threatening as she sat on the bed beside me. She barely made a dent on the mattress. I was overcome with fear and panic. "Who are you? Why are you here? What do you want?" I was completely aware, but my body was frozen. As I lay on my back with my arms at my side and unable to defend myself, I waited for something dreadful to happen. In the most gentle and caring way, she pulled the crocheted throw blanket up around my shoulders and carefully tucked the linens around me. Her touch was so light. Within moments, peace swelled over me and the fear faded. I began to realize she came to comfort me and make me feel at home. Then I slipped into a state of unconsciousness. That morning when I awoke, my body was in the same position as when the woman visited. A chill ran through my body, but I felt refreshed and completely rested, as if I'd had a full night of sleep. At breakfast, I described my experience to my friends and the innkeeper. My friends didn't believe me and thought I had a dream until Gail responded, "Oh, that was Emily." "Who?" My friends grew silent. "Emily. She used to live here." It was so eerie that an unwelcome ghost came to welcome me. When I first arrived at the historic Stanley Hotel, nestled in the scenic Colorado Rockies, the air was filled with whispers of its haunted legacy. One room in particular, room 237, held a notorious reputation, sealed off from the public and shrouded in mystery. As a historian and guide newly assigned to the Stanley, my curiosity was immediately piqued by this room that even the bravest of guests dared not speak of after dark. Room 237 had been closed for as long as anyone could remember. Staff shared chilling tales of strange noises and ghostly whispers that seemed to leak through its locked door. Even walking past it sent shivers down my spine, a chill that seemed too intense to be just my imagination. It was said that Stephen King himself drew inspiration for The Shining from this very room, adding an eerie layer of fame to its already dark mystique. Despite the allure of the hotel's opulent lobby and picturesque surroundings, room 237 remained a stark contrast, a door perpetually closed, an enigma that no guest card could open. Rumors among the staff ranged from tales of spectral sightings to mournful wails heard in the dead of the night, all centered around this one room. Drawn by both my role at the hotel and a personal fascination with the unexplained, I knew that uncovering the truth behind room 237 was something I couldn't resist. The deeper I delved into the hotel's past, the more I realized that some doors, like that of room 237, might be closed for a reason. Just a few weeks into my tenure at the Stanley Hotel, a new general manager, Mr. Clark, took over operations. Mr. Clark, a pragmatic man with little interest in ghost stories or superstition, was baffled by the continuous exclusion of room 237 from the hotel's inventory. He saw it as a waste of potential revenue, especially given the room's infamous reputation, which could attract more thrill-seeking guests. During one of the staff meetings, he announced his decision firmly. "It's just like any other room. We're going to open room 237. It's time we put these silly ghost tales to bed and make practical use of every part of this hotel." I felt a mix of excitement and apprehension ripple through the room. The longtime employees exchanged nervous glances, while a few of the new staff seemed intrigued. I, too, felt a surge of both anticipation and dread. What would we find behind that long, sealed door? The following week, Mr. Clark arranged for a locksmith to come and change the locks. I was there when the door swung open for the first time in years. The air that spilled out was cold and stale, and I peered inside. The untouched, perfectly presumed decor from decades past lay before us, as if waiting for its occupants to return. What happened next, however, confirmed that some legends have roots deeper in the truth than we might wish. As soon as room 237 was officially reopened, Mr. Clark wasted no time promoting it as the ultimate experience for guests seeking a thrill at the Stanley Hotel. Bookings started immediately, driven by the allure of its chilling backstory and the recent buzz around its reopening. However, it wasn't long before strange reports began to surface. The first guests to stay in room 237 was a young couple eager for a ghostly encounter, requested a room change just a few hours into their stay. Pale and visibly shaken, they reported that the mirrors in the room seemed to show reflections that were not their own, as if someone was in the room with them. They also heard whisperings in the dead of night, impossible to trace and unsettling coherent, speaking words that they couldn't quite understand. Following this, the electronic key system to the room began to malfunction frequently. Guests would find that their key cards deactivated without reason, and the lights would flicker on and off. One evening, the entire hotel's power flickered out momentarily after a guest reported seeing a shadowy figure pass through the closed bathroom door of room 237. The hotel staff grew increasingly uneasy, and whispers of the old legends began to resurface. I started documenting these incidents, interviewing guests and employees alike, capturing a growing dossier of unexplained phenomena that seemed centered around 237. Despite the mounting evidence that something was amiss, Mr. Clark remained stubbornly skeptical, attributing the incidents to a mix of overactive imaginations and minor technical glitches. However, it soon became clear that whatever resided in room 237 was not content to remain just a story from the past. The climax occurred one stormy night when a historian, intrigued by the tales, checked into room 237 to uncover the truth. He was well versed in the lore of the Stanley Hotel and particularly fascinated with the room's mysterious past. Determined to spend the entire night, he came equipped with recording devices and a strong resolve. As darkness fell and the storm outside intensified, the historian began to notice an unsettling coldness seeping through the room, growing denser with the night. His equipment started acting up, with batteries draining rapidly and cameras shutting off without explanation. Then, at exactly midnight, the true horror began. Through his audio equipment, he captured the sound of a distinct piano playing, a tune that seemed both sorrowful and haunting. As he followed the sound to its source, he realized it was emanating from the bathroom. Bravely, he opened the door, and to his horror, he saw the reflection of a woman in the mirror, her face twisted in agony, screaming silently. Then, just as suddenly, she vanished. The historian, though terrified, continued his investigation, recording everything. He discovered that on this very night, decades ago, a woman had tragically died in that room under mysterious circumstances, her death marked by the same melody he had just heard. The parallels were undeniable, and the experience left him convinced that her spirit was reliving its last moments over and over again. As dawn broke, he left the room, shaken but unharmed, his recordings a chilling testament to the night's events. The evidence was overwhelming and irrefutable, marking a turning point in the hotel's handling of room 237. After the historian's harrowing experience, his recordings circulated among the hotel staff and eventually reached Mr. Clark. Despite his initial skepticism, the undeniable evidence laid before him, the chilling audio clips, the testimonies from guests, and the historian's vivid account forced him to reconsider his stance on room 237. The safety and comfort of the guest being paramount, and with the historian's experience casting a new, undeniable light on the supernatural activity in room 237, Mr. Clark made the decision to close the room permanently. The hotel could not, in good conscience, allow guests to stay in a room with such a disturbed and unsettling history. Room 237 was once again locked, and this time additional measures were taken to ensure it remained undisturbed. A plaque was placed outside the door briefly explaining the room's significance and its role in the hotel's haunted history, turning it into an exhibit rather than a guest room. This move was met with mixed reactions. Some were disappointed, while others felt relieved, appreciating the respect shown to the past and its victims. The hotel began to focus on promoting other aspects of its rich history and picturesque location, gradually shifting the narrative from the horrors of room 237 to the overall mystique of staying at one of America's most haunted hotels. Tours of the hotel still included stories of room 237, but the door remained closed, a silent witness to the unforeseen forces that had once moved through its space. Shortly after room 237 was permanently sealed, the physical key to the room went missing. It was an old-fashioned metal key, quite distinct from modern key cards used everywhere in the hotel. The last time it was seen, it was in Mr. Clark's office, lying on his desk, a symbol of the final decision to close the room for good. The disappearance of the key became a subject of much speculation among the staff and guests. Some joked that the hotel's ghostly residents had reclaimed it, ensuring no one would ever again disturb their peace. Others suggested more practical theories like a souvenir-seeking staff member taking it. However, an extensive search and inquiry brought no answers. The key had vanished without a trace. The mysterious disappearance added a new layer of intrigue and fear around room 237. It seemed to affirm the belief among many that the room was best left alone, its secrets too dark and deep to be meddled with by the living. Mr. Clark, once a skeptic, now treated the legends with a newfound respect, cautious not to provoke whatever energies lingered in that space. The missing key became a legendary tale of its own right, often whispered about during the hotel tours, adding to the Stanley Hotel's allure as a destination for those drawn to the paranormal. It served as a chilling reminder that some doors are meant to remain closed and some keys are meant to be lost. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to this episode of All Things Cryptid. I know I love doing this podcast and I love hearing from you. Remember, you can write me at allthingscryptid13@gmail.com. That's allthingscryptid spelled out 13@gmail.com. Email me, let me know how you like the podcast and what you might want future episodes to be. I enjoy hearing from you. Thank you so much for listening, liking, sharing, telling others about it. I love it, and I want you to continue to enjoy this podcast. So until next time, please stay safe and keep searching for the unknown.